podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Janae Byman on how she has helped New Life Ministries this summer and what it's like to be a Christian college student.
So Janae, you've been interning with us for about 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about just what that experience has been like. We're also going to talk about you're in college right now at Purdue and how that
hammer down.
Yeah,
Yes.
Savannah is also a boiler, so I'm indifferent.
No.
By
You can
association,
only
you're
cheer
a
for
Boilermaker.
Purdue.
Yeah.
I do only
Just
cheer
saying.
for Purdue, but only because of you.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about just what's it like to be a college student, and especially what's it like to be a believer on a college campus like Purdue. But before we get started, Janae, just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Janae Byman, like they said. I go to Purdue. I'm studying elementary education, and I'm halfway through, so we're getting there. I like to think it's the home stretch, but it's not yet. My dad was like, slow down. But yeah, so I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Actually, it's called Huntertown, which is like, nobody knows what that is, though. But it's right north of Fort Wayne. I went to Carroll High School, if anybody knows what that is. Big high school. Now I go to Purdue. I'm the fourth of 4 pastor kids, and our mom's a social worker. So, that was a heavy household for sure. But yeah, growing up, I watched my parents work with all kinds of people, especially working in social work and then having dad as a pastor. You hear a lot of stories of a lot of different things. But my dad and Jimmy are good friends. I was actually supposed to be studying abroad in Greece until 3 days ago for 4 weeks. But my trip got canceled because they didn't book our hotels, which was frustrating.
Yeah.
But then I was like, hey, Dad, do you have a ministry opportunity that I could jump in? And he was like, hey, Jimmy could totally use you. And so I decided to commute 45 minutes every single day to come here and work with Jimmy and just the ministries and everything. And so now I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's it like being a pastor's kid?
What's it not like? No. Everybody expects you to be a bad kid. Actually, it's kind of funny. I'll tell people, yeah, I'm a pastor's kid, and they're like, oh, and you're like, no, it's not. It's not a bad thing. I love it. A lot of it was the church I grew up in was planted the year before I was born, so there wasn't really a discipleship network, and everybody kind of expects you to be okay no matter what. And so, like in high school, I went through a lot of like mental things and like drama. Obviously, high school drama is very evident. And so everybody kind of just expected me to be okay with everything. But like when I wasn't okay, there really wasn't anybody that was like looking out for me because they were like, oh, you're fine. You're good. You're like outwardly good looking, like you're doing the right thing. And so it was kind of hard just like finding a person to like disciple me in high school. So I actually ended up going to a youth group with a different church, which is like my best friend's mom. And she discipled me all throughout high school. And I think that was good to get that separation of just like, okay, I can like trust this person because you're not going to tell my parents. But I have really loved being a pastor's kid because like, I mean, I have the 2 coolest parents who like love people with their entire heart. And so watching them not only serve really well in what they do as jobs, but serve each other really well in a marriage and like just really exemplify Christ is really cool. My mentor a couple of years ago asked what I don't want to take into my future marriage when I'm an adult, and it took me like 20 minutes to think of something that I'm like, I was like, I think my parents do a good job. And so, but I'm truly blessed with parents who care a lot about me, but also mostly care about my spiritual well-being and just that I am following Christ, and I know that they pray for me every day, and I think it's the coolest thing to know. So
yeah, that's really cool. I always find it curious because I feel like every time I've asked people like that are pastors' kids, what's the experience like? It's always a little bit different, and that just shows you that it's just because every parent is different. Even every pastor is not the same pastor. So it's just really cool to hear that story, just of your experience as a pastor's kid. But tell us just what have you been doing for New Life Ministries since these 4 weeks that you've been here?
Yeah, I like to think a little bit of everything. It's been cool because I've got to see every aspect of what you guys do. I've been helping at lunches. I helped at a dinner at the meal ministry, which really opened my eyes because the only experience I've ever had with like a soup kitchen or something like that was at the rescue mission in Fort Wayne. And I was 12. And my dad was like, hey, we're going to go do this thing where we sleep outside and then eat breakfast. And so for me, I was like not ready for that experience and totally didn't get anything out of it. And so coming here, I was like, okay, I really want to like learn that empathy part of my brain more, because I feel like, I mean, I work with kids at school. I'm never with adults. Yeah. It's like frustrating sometimes because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need adult interaction. But I've really enjoyed it because I've gotten a lot of experience meeting older and younger individuals that I'm just like, wow, if I was in your shoes, I don't know what I would do. And so that's really opened my eyes a lot. And then I've been painting. I've learned I'm not a great painter. That's the thing. And my mom would have told you I wasn't before I started painting here, but I'm not a great painter. But I've been doing that. I got covered in paint the other day. My dad put paint thinner all over my body to get it off. And
that seems safe.
Yeah, super safe. Used a lot of lotion after. He's like, just don't let it get in your blood. I was like, all right, so how do I avoid? I don't know how to do that. Like, oh, don't do that. Like,
the new beauty trend.
Yeah, literally. I've shadowed like Carla. I've realized I don't want her job, but I could do Lauren's.
I don't. Exactly.
I couldn't do Carla's. Carla's like has to mom a ton of adults, and I'm like, no, don't put me in that position. But Lauren gets to like watch her do it and then help with like all the background things, and I think I would really enjoy that. I've seen that Savannah does a lot with typing and writing and grants and all those things, and I'm like, wow, that's the part of school I don't like. So probably wouldn't love that, but I love that you do get to like reach out to all these different organizations and things like that. And I've just seen the community here. I've weeded. I got poison ivy literally all over my hands. But it's cool to see that there's so many different things that you guys do. And I've been able to clean the church and do things like that and serve in that way. Right now I'm helping create a float for a parade. And so it's like just realizing that there's so much more going on behind the scenes. Like I've filled medicine, what are they called? Containers?
Yeah.
And it's like, pill organizers. That's what it is. And it's like, oh, that's like something that the average person's not going to realize that that's part of Lauren's job. And Lauren, when she signed up, probably didn't realize that was going to be part of her job. But it's cool. And then like just Tabitha taking in all of the calls and things like that. And I'm like, man, would I have the courage to call if I was in this person's shoes? Like, I don't know. It's just opened my eyes a lot to different aspects of things. And I mean, you preach, but you do a lot more than preach. You're like the handyman. Like the other day I got here and he was fixing the door, like the front metal door with the lock that like didn't work. And I'm like, I don't even think I would know like where to start. I would like unscrew it and be like, all right.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube helps. Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, so just a ton of different things, organizing rooms. I really enjoy that kind of thing. So I love the organization.
I feel like it's the true ministry experience because all of us here, it's like you sign up for one job and then you end up doing like 600 others.
Yeah, and Jimmy's like, can you really do this too?
The full experience.
Yeah. No.
I would say for the most part, you've experienced in 4 weeks pretty much every type of job that is here, like really fast.
Yeah.
So the question that I have is like, what did you really get out of it?
Yeah.
Like how is these 4 weeks? How do you feel like it's been beneficial for just your life in the future?
I think for me, coming out of school, like the school year, I can be kind of on like this pedestal of like, oh yeah, I'm in college and I have community and I have all these things. And I come home and I really don't have that. I have like maybe 4 friends from high school still. And so I was like, wow, I don't know how am I going to like see God moving? Which I know is such a like an ignorant thing to say because he's always moving, if you don't know that. But what I realized is like, oh, God's moving like in the still small voice in so many different aspects. And I think what I really learned is like, wow, I need to be so much more thankful for like what I do have. Because like I do have an apartment that like my parents are graciously helping me pay for in school. And like I do have scholarships that like are helping me get to school. Yeah. But I get to be at Purdue University and I get to like be in part of this really cool college ministry that I like get to lead worship with. And then like I get to be part of another church plant down there that like God has blessed immensely. And so it's like, wow, I've met people my age who are like living in the houses here. And I'm like, man, I just need to like be grateful that I have parents that love and pray for me. And it's like, I don't know. The one thing that really shocked me is like I had a doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Who's your emergency contact?" And I like had to like decide which person to put, like my mom, my dad, my sister. Like, you know, it took me a while to be like, who's the closest to me? Who's most likely to answer their phone? But like, I had a list of people to pick from. And then the other day I sat in an intake with Carla, and somebody sat there and was like, I don't know who I could put as an emergency contact. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what wow, this is crazy. And so if anything, it's really just opened my eyes. Like, man, life, like, is crazy. And, like, your decisions that you make and, like, the way things turn out and the decisions other people make towards you are, like, can make or break a lot of things. And so, like, I just need to, like, be so much more grateful for, like, the ways God has blessed me. But also, like, I have so many, like, I don't really have money. Okay, I'm a college student. But I have, like, things I can use, like, personality-wise and, like, gifts that God's let me, like, step into. And so I'm like, wow, I want to be able to bless people so much more because I don't need to keep this to myself. Like, there's so many people who, like, need, like, time. That's, like, one of the biggest things. And so for me, it's like, wow, I need to find somewhere when I'm at school to, like, give my time because, like, yeah, they don't always need money, but they need people. And so it's like, I've even been researching these last couple of weeks, just like places for me to volunteer when I get back to school. It's like, I don't really have that much time because you know the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
She studied elementary education, so she knows the schedule.
It gets busy fast.
It gets busy fast. But there is like those blocks of time that you're like, oh, like I could do that. Like I don't have classes on Friday. And so it's like, okay, where could I find that's like for the lunch hour, maybe serve at my local soup kitchen in Lafayette or something like that. So yeah, sorry, that was a lot, but
that's good.
Yeah, just kind of a lot of things. And so spiritually, I feel like it's been challenging to me just to like open my eyes. Cause I don't think I was like sheltered growing up, but I definitely lived in like an upper middle class area. And like my school, like the school I went to, like, I was probably one of the lowest income students there. And even saying that, like, I never saw a struggle for like food and things like that. And so just seeing people that like, that's a reality of life. I'm like, whoa, like this is totally different than what I'm used to. Yeah. And so, I feel like it's really encouraged me to like go back to school and like press into these areas that like are challenging to me. Cause I mean, you're not going to grow in Christ if you're not challenged. Just saying, if things are easy, then you're not doing it right. You need to get challenged because that's where you're going to see God show up in different ways and like learn so much more about his goodness and grace.
Yeah.
So,
So you mentioned like you're talking about like with your age group and then seeing some of these ladies come in that are like the same age. That's like the same for me when I first started working here on a regular basis. Was you tend to think everybody in your age group lives the same way. Yeah. But then when you go to a place like this and you see, wow, somebody who's the same age as me has way different life experiences based on choices. Simply really is what did you do in your life? And you know, there are sometimes environments and things like that don't help. But a lot of it's just there's consequences and things that sometimes may not seem as big to some, but end up being very drastic later on in life. Yeah. And I think with like the meal ministry too, that you know you've seen these people. It's always eye opening to me to think, you know, again, the same age is coming down to the meal for you know a hot meal, but then you know you see younger kids and families.
It's like when the elementary kids come in, I'm like, wow, you could be my student. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like. I've probably had students that's the reality. And I'm like, wow, did I love them enough? And did I care for them enough? And like, I know you can't fix or change every kid's life, but like you can be like, you can always make it better in some way. And so it's like, yeah.
Do you feel like, have you developed any practical skills? You feel like you're a better painter today than you were yesterday?
I'm probably a more careful painter now. Yeah. Because I've realized I like to get things done. And I'm like, boom, 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 done. Yeah. And so I think especially we did the railing outside the church by the front doors. So if you see it, we helped do that. But I've realized I'm a very messy painter. So I painted with the other intern, Sam. Mm-hmm. And coming out of the experience, I was covered. Like hands up to like here. And legs. I had paint on them. I had paint on my feet. Don't really know how that happened because I wore shoes. But and he had like maybe 2 drops of paint on it. And I was like, all right, so we just paint differently. And it's probably because I just rush. And so practically I just need to slow down, get better at that. I think I've gotten better at organizing just because when Jimmy hands you a room and says, okay, organize it, I don't even use the room or the things in the room. Mm-hmm. How do I organize this to make it make sense to other people?
And there's scary rooms that you had to organize.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, okay, other people would look at this and probably organize it differently. And I'm like, okay, how do I make it like universally organized so that people can find everything? So I learned just label a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So I found a roll of duct tape and a Sharpie. And I just wrote everything that was in every box. And I labeled everything. And I think for me, that's like, oh, I need to organize my room better because the way I've learned to think differently, organizing that, I'm like, okay, I can organize a little bit better than the way I do it. Because right now, if somebody walked in my room, they'd be like, I don't know where anything is. It's like some clothes are in this dresser, but then in that, but then there's not, and it's like, okay, I need to figure this out. And so, yeah.
Yeah, organization is not one of my skills.
Strong suits.
That's why
That's okay.
Yeah, pawns it off on me.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's gotta
she's
pull their weight.
The organizer.
It works, But yeah, and just like with food, it's like how to take a little bit and stretch it very far. I think that's what I learned the most. Like with the meal ministry, it's like a lady had 8 turkey, and then she had to feed like 50 people. She's like, okay, so we're gonna add it to this and this and this, and like, yeah, just taking such a little amount of food but making it a meal for many. And it reminds me of Jesus. Just saying. And she's not Jesus. But by Jesus' goodness, you can take a turkey and feed 50 people. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's switch gears just a little bit. We appreciate all you've done for New Life Ministries, and I'm sure we're all going to be sad to see you go, but you have to go. Yeah. You have to go and do what we're about to talk about, and you have to go back to being a college student. So tell us what's it been like to be you're now going into your junior year. What's it like being a college student?
Crazy. I don't sleep very much. No, that's the biggest thing. Just in general, I feel like Purdue is a really good campus. So when I visited schools, my uncle lives in Bloomington, and so I went down to IU because those are the big 2. You go to Purdue or IU. Like at least my high school, like it was like, which one are you going to? Yeah. And then if you're an oddball, you go to like private school, and it's like But I just like felt spiritually dark when I went to IU. It felt like I was like, I just don't feel like I would thrive here. And the friends that I had in high school that weren't great for me were going there, and so I was like, all right, where do I go? And when I visited Purdue, it was a rainy day. Which I feel like that's everybody's experience visiting Purdue is it's like cold or rainy.
I can't remember if it was raining or
everybody like hates their visit, but they go there anyways.
Yeah. Something
and I know. And for me, it was my sister went to Purdue, and I saw that she like flourished and like got really involved in her church and like started a Bible study and all these things. And I was like, wow, I really want to be able to do that. And so I didn't want to go to Purdue. I didn't even want to go to college, actually. But my parents were like, you're either going to get a job or go to college. And I was like, all right, I don't want to get a job. So I went to college. I was like, if that's my 2 options, I'll pick the one where I can just make friends. Yeah. And so I went to college. But it's really interesting because the church that I'm a part of at Purdue, planted the November of my freshman year. So I didn't even start going there. And then the college ministry that I actually work for now planted the August of my freshman year. And so I went to the kickoff event of the very first time that they ever, it's called Salt Company, like, because we're the salt of the earth, Luke 10:2, all those things. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, I like went to the kickoff and then I didn't go back until like 3 months later. But it's really interesting because I really prayed for girls, like women of God, to like encourage me in Christ, and I was super adamant about not joining a women's group. I was like, no, not happening. I was like, I'm just going to go to church. And obviously God had other plans, because out of the blue somebody texted me and was like, hey, you should come to our small group. And I was like, when is it? She's like, tomorrow. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I had to find a ride because I didn't have a car. And then my sister's boyfriend at the time, they're married now, took me, and I was like sitting in the car outside of the house, and I was like, I don't want to go in. He's like, well, I have Bible study, so get out of my car. And I was like, dang it. And so I went, and it ended up being like the coolest experience. And I feel like that's rare that a kid goes to college and immediately finds great like biblical people who want to pour into them, because a lot of experiences are people go to college, experience college, and then find Christ or things like that. And I can't say I was like great when I first started. I came out of high school kind of like confused, and just like I was very adamant about not doing what my siblings did, which was go to college and follow Christ, because I was like, I want to be different, because I have 3 older siblings, and it was like so easy to do what they did, but I wanted to do my own thing. And so I started at college, obviously not great, made a couple of friends I probably shouldn't have made. I'm still friends with them now, just on different levels, but it was one of those things where I knew, I was like, okay, this is clearly like not, my decisions aren't working, so I need God. And so but he showed up in like the image of a person that invited me to a small group. And so that I think has changed a lot of the trajectory of like what I've been doing at school. I don't like the school part. I don't. It's awful. My schedule is crazy. It's this coming year will be Mondays and Wednesdays. I'll have class from 7:30 to 4:30 all day, every like 50 minutes with 10-minute breaks, and then a 30-minute break for lunch, which I'm like, I feel like I'm in high school again. And then like I'll just pack my lunch probably. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll be in a classroom 7:30 to like 3:30, 4:30, in an elementary school around the Lafayette area. And then Fridays I won't have class. And so I'm like, all right, I guess that makes up for it. So it'll be crazy. I feel like I'm in class with a lot of the same people. We're in like cohorts, so like all my classes are with the same people. And so it's been really cool, because a lot of the girls that go to Salt Company with me are in my classes. And we've gotten like so many girls to at least try it. And so they know what Salt Company is, and they know like about Jesus. And so it's really cool, because we can spark conversations of like, oh my gosh, are you going to Salt tonight? Like that kind of thing. And so, and then it gets the other people around us like, what is that? Like, you know, and so it's kind of impressive how many elementary education majors are going to Salt Company right now. Or just involved in a college ministry of some sort, because there's plenty at Purdue that like, yeah. And so I think that's a big thing I've noticed, is there's so many college ministries at Purdue.
That's what I loved about like being on campus, is it's not a Christian campus, but somehow it feels very
like it.
Christian campus, like because there is so many opportunities. And, like, you find just so many people who are excited. Like, I was in the dorms my whole time there, but we had dorm Bible studies, like, once a week. And there was just so many opportunities to find Christ on campus.
Yeah, I feel like it's rare to find somebody not at least interested. Like, I have a couple friends that, like, have told me, like, okay, quit inviting me, I'm not going. But most of my friends, like, well, I lead worship on Thursday nights, so I'll be like, come watch me sing. And then they'll come, and then they, like, enjoy it. And whether or not they come back, it's like they heard the gospel, or there's a seed there. And so, yeah, it literally feels, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you know, for how big it is, I never feel like a number. I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 people who know who I am deeply. And it's like that, I feel like, makes a big difference. And so if you go to Purdue, come find us, because we want to know you. And it's like, I feel like so many people can go to school and be like, oh, but it's just so big. There's too many people. But, like, find a family in Christ, and you're not going to feel like it's too big. Like, I walk on campus, and, like, I mean, Salt Company is awesome. And so I'll see people that I'm like, oh, my gosh, hey, guys. And it's like, they're not even in my degree, but I'll see them. And it's, like, really cool, because it makes it feel so much smaller. And it makes it feel so cool. And so I love Purdue, even though I never expected to. So, yeah.
So before I start talking about some other things, why elementary education?
Okay, yeah. The long version or the short version?
Any version.
Any version. I'll go medium. So yeah, growing up, I was the youngest of 4. So a lot of people compared me to my siblings. My oldest brother's really, really smart. He like Ivy League. Mm-hmm. Like, it's ridiculous.
No big deal.
Like, yeah, like, I went to Harvard. It's like, okay, be quiet. Like, you suck. And then he went to Oxford. So we're like, all right, you one-upped yourself. Like, this is worse. The bar is, like, now way too high for us.
You can't go higher.
Yeah, no, it's like, well, you can't really go. Yeah, you went to the coolest university in the world. Like, all right, buddy. So for me, I compared myself a lot to my siblings growing up. And a lot of people were like, oh, you're the youngest Byman. You're the last one. Oh, you're like, or like, oh, you're Joel's little sister. You're Chris or Grant's little sister. Mm-hmm. And so I was never really like myself. Like nobody ever was like, oh, you're Janae. You're like I got called Byman from like kindergarten on, which is because I always had my siblings teachers. Yeah. And so they always knew that. And my 4th grade teacher, I walked into her room like, it was like the 2nd day or something. I remember it very vividly because it stuck with me. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just Joel's little sister. Because she had my oldest brother who's probably taught her class, But she was like, no, Joel's your big brother. You matter in my class. She's like, you're Janae Byman. He's your brother. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even care that like he's smart. She was like, she just cared that I was in her class and that she had me as a student. And it really like changed my perspective on teachers because I always wanted to be a teacher. I know like you get out of class like out for the summer and then you have all your books and stuff and you're like, oh, we can like play school. And so I always played school growing up and it was like always fun. I would like set up a classroom with like the TV trays in my living room. And then my dad built me a treehouse that he like put a chalkboard in and desks and stuff. And it was like really cool actually. Mm-hmm. And so I had my own classroom. But in 4th grade, that's really when I was like, man, I want to be a teacher like her. Because she like shined a light that was like abnormal from like my other teachers. And like as an adult now, I've become friends with her and like found out she's a believer in Christ and like that's why. But like I never knew the why growing up, but I could tell something was like different and she was like a special teacher. And so for me, it's like I want to be able to like shine that light into the public school system that like isn't normally there. And for students to be like, you like cared for us in a different way. Like, what's different about you? And I want my students like someday come back and be like, why? And then I'd be like, I love Jesus and you should too. Because like that's what I did with her. And it's like she made such a difference in my life. And then like, I mean, I was a teacher's pet growing up. I mean, I feel like most of us who are in elementary education were because we're like, oh yeah, I want to be the teacher or I want to be the student I want to have, Yeah. And so I've always just loved like building relationships with my teachers. But yeah, my 4th grade teacher really just made a big difference in my life. And I'm like, I want to be like Mrs. Brewer. She was awesome. So yeah.
That's really cool. So what are some temptations that a college student faces, especially on a secular school? You don't have the blinders or the guards of a Christian.
Yeah. So living with my parents in high school, I couldn't really get away with a lot because I had to come home at night every night, and they had my location, and they'd ask a lot of questions, and so even when I did mess up, I pretty much told them right away because I'm not a good liar at all. So then going to college, I didn't have them there at all. And so like there was accountability in high school, but then once you get to college, it's like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And I can just tell them I'm having fun. And they'll be like, oh, cool, you're going to church. You're good. And so I feel like I kind of really wanted to just like do everything that I couldn't do. And like I didn't really do a lot because I was still nervous. My sister would find out 'cause she went there. So that was helpful. But there's a lot of temptations because you get there, you meet people, and they're like, do you want to go drink with us? Do you want to go to this party? Do you want to come back to my dorm? And I remember, like, this is scary. I don't even think my parents know this. I got to school, and the first week I was there, somebody was like, let's go play poker. I don't know how to play poker, nor have I, like, thought it was a great thing for us to do. But I was like, oh, these are friends. Let's do it. And I went back, and they all started taking shots, and I was like, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I didn't do that, but I was like, what am I, like, I guess I'm in college. I guess this is college. Yeah, I was like, well, and then they were like, all right, buy-in is $10. I was like, real money? I was like, we're not even playing with chips? Like, what are we doing? And so it really shocked me. And kind of shows that I was a sheltered child. I lived with a pastor. But because neither of my parents drink. And so, like, in high school, I didn't, like, struggle with it, but a lot of my friends did and things like that. But then, like, going to college, I was like, oh, this is, like, it. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But that's when I kind of, like, promised myself I wouldn't let myself go down that. But it was really easy because I just wanted to make friends and I just wanted to meet people. And a lot of the social gatherings were going to parties or doing things you probably shouldn't be doing. Well, you shouldn't be doing. They're illegal. Or like hanging out in dorms really late, like things like that. And it was hard because, yeah, you just want to be liked. I mean, you don't want to be the weird kid that doesn't do it. And so, you know, but I mean, we all know that's not great for us. So, but yeah, just kind of, I think the biggest temptation is being liked. Like, is the lie that you're not good enough, or you won't be good enough unless you do this, or they won't like you unless you do this, which is true. A lot of times people aren't going to want to hang out with you if you keep telling them no. But that's like the lie from the devil saying you need their approval. And so a lot of the temptation is wanting approval from man. And then the temptation comes in the form of like alcohol, drugs, things like that. And I won't say it was super prevalent, but it was, I mean, easy to fall into. And then I think another temptation is to not read your Bible or to not like be surrounded by Christian community, because you kind of have to seek it out to find it. It's not just gonna like show up on your doorstep and then suddenly
you don't have mom and dad taking you
suddenly you have a deep relationship in youth group. Like youth group doesn't exist and mom and dad aren't telling you to get involved. I mean, my parents kind of were like, you probably should, but they weren't there to tell me to, and they weren't there to make me go.
Like, you could have just easily been like, yeah, I'm going every week.
Exactly. And they had no idea. Or like, yeah, I'm in a Bible study. And then you're not. Like, and so the temptation is to just not go and just do other things. Because, I mean, a Sunday morning, like a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, like that's 3 days of your week that like are dedicated to like following, like doing things in community with other believers. And it's like, that's a lot of time when you think about it. And so it was really easy to like not go because mom's not there saying you need to go or take you. And so, and then finding rides and stuff was like not the easiest. And so that was another temptation, to just be lazy and not ask. Like the fear of like, oh, what if they say no? It's like, okay, then find another one. Like, it's not that deep. But yeah, so I think the biggest temptation is like just being liked and then just not doing it, because it's easier not to than to. So yeah,
and like you talked about earlier, there's you have to be your accountability.
At least for the beginning there.
Until you find a group and
with accountability.
And then like when she first started going or first started at Purdue, you can't have your vehicle, like what you're saying, and now maybe you don't have any friends. Now you have to make friends just to get rides.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have to be typically upperclassmen.
And that's more daunting.
Which is scary.
Like, I had my sister, but she went to a different church. And I didn't want to go to hers because it felt like hers. And I was like, that feels weird to enter into her world and, like, mess it up. But, like, I don't want to be her little sister again in her world. And it's like, I want my own, like, church to call my own home church. So then, of course, my ride's gone. And it's like, well, I got to find somebody who goes there now or wants to go there now. And that has a car. Yeah. And my only friend starting at Purdue was my best friend from high school, who's not my boyfriend, which is kind of weird. But he was my best friend all through high school. And then he, like, obviously, like, I didn't really know anybody else going to Purdue. And it was just he and I. So, like, I couldn't just, like, ask him to hang out all the time because I'm like, okay, I don't need to, like, hang out with a dude one-on-one that I'm not, like, going out with at the time. And so I was like, man, I really just need to meet girls. Like, this is brutal. Yeah, so.
Thankfully, elementary education has tons of girls.
A plethora of women. Yeah. No, this is for sure. Yeah. All my classes, there's like maybe one guy.
Yeah, you have the token guy.
Most of them, there's none. There's no guys. Yeah, exactly. It's like I had maybe a class with like 4 dudes this year. And my boyfriend's like, oh yeah, I like that. I'm like, all right, well, there's like no diversity. But yeah.
So what does the mission field look like at Purdue? Like, you're a believer, you're trying to serve faithfully, you're trying to bring people probably to, SALT company. So what does that mission field really look like?
Crazy. I think what I've really found is in my classes, there is a lot of people. I'm in classes with a lot of sorority girls, And so I think the mission field a lot of times is just Greek life. There are so many people in Greek life because they want to be liked, or they. I know this sounds bad, but it's like you're like buying friends. That's kind of like what you're buying community. You're buying into this lie that the best thing for you is to go to parties It's crazy. I hear stories and I'm like, dang. And I did go to. So I went to like a formal dinner with one of my friends because he was like, hey, I just got friend zone. Can you go with me? I was like, sure. And then there's like there's like a party after. And I like went to this party with him, and I had told him before, I was like, I'm not going to drink, but I'll like go with you, which I've realized parties are really boring when you're not drinking. But for me, it just made me really sad that a lot of people, like a lot of their value in life is, okay, when's the next time we're going to drink? When's the next time we're going to do things, like stuff like that. And so for me, I'm like, that is a huge mission field, is just the girls I sit next to in class. And if any of them are watching this, I love you. But I might tell them to watch this. That's why. But it's like a huge mission field. But like I said, it's like meeting girls in that bigger community that are believers too, that, because I know I can't go in alone. If you're going to, my mom used to tell me the analogy of, okay, you're in the middle of a hole, or somebody's in a hole, and that's like the sins of the world. And you're at the top reaching in to grab them. But if you don't have anybody holding your feet or anchoring you down, you're just going to fall in with them. Yeah. So you need more than one person to pull them out of the hole, because you can't do it without being anchored down. I used it a lot in high school when I was being pulled into a hole. So, but so for me, I was like, okay, I need to meet a couple girls that we can go on mission together, because the entirety of our faith is to like go and make disciples of all nations. But like, I feel like a lot of times people overlook like the here and now, the people you're around daily. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I need to like influence, I don't know if that's a great word, or just like be a light in these classes that I'm in with girls all day. Like I said, we're in cohorts, so I'm with the same people all day. And so it's like, how can I, like slide the gospel into a conversation, or like a subtle invitation. Like I've gotten some of them to like come watch me sing, or like come to a Bible study. I'm like, hey, we have free food. You want to come? I'm like, that kind of thing. I'm like, we have snacks. Come.
Yeah, that's the way to get a college.
Exactly. I'm like, anything free, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm in. Even if it's like a 4-hour thing, they're like, but I get pizza. Like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And or like I got baptized when I was really little, but then like I actually accepted Christ when I was like older, and so I actually got baptized last January. And so I invited a lot of people to come watch that, because I knew there was going to be a gospel presentation, and like the Spirit of God was like totally going to be moving in the room. And so, not that he isn't always, but like what better way to introduce somebody to like Jesus than watching somebody become new in Christ. And so I like invited a ton of people like in my classes and outside of my class. I'm like, hey, you want to come? And I would be like, I'll get dunked. You want to come watch me? Like, I tried to make it seem not like, hey, I'm getting baptized. Like, because a lot of people, the word baptized, they're like, what? But so for me, I was like, hey, I have like a baptism that I'm taking part in. You want to come watch? And then like my family was coming. So I was like, you can come meet my parents. And so it got like a lot of people, like it helped me talk about it more. And so I feel like with Salt Company, it's given me an opportunity just to like talk to them. Another big mission field I feel like is exchange students, because we don't realize that a lot of the students that I go to school with like live in that band where they're not allowed to talk about the gospel in their like home country. But I'm like, if we can influence them while they're on Purdue's campus, and then they go back home, it's like then they can share the gospel with their family in a place that we're not allowed to go, like as Americans, to share the gospel, or like missionaries we're not allowed to be in. And so I'm not the greatest at like, my education classes are not diverse, like at all. But I took a class this past year called Communications Across Cultures, and it was through the College of Agriculture. And I sat next to a student from Taiwan and then another student from Korea. And I'm like, when else would I ever be in contact with people from these countries? And so I like invited them to Soul Company, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually a Christian. When like we had to like do icebreakers, I was like, yeah, like I'm part of this college ministry, and like I got to talk about like Christ and to these students that like probably have never really heard the gospel. And so it's a large missional community. For as much as it feels like a private school, there is a lot of non-believers. And so yeah, just in my classes, it's been the coolest thing because, I mean, probably 70% of my classes are people who either are culturally Christian or not at all. And so, yeah.
So what do you feel like a college student's mindset, for a believer's mindset, should be when they step onto a campus like Purdue? Like when we're talking about the mission field, like it can be easy to have a mindset, well, you know, I'm part of the mission field, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I need people to minister to me and to love on me, which we should, right? Hopefully that is what you get at college with other students, and you feel the love of Christ through a church that you're involved in. But how would you encourage somebody to get started in the mission field? If the mission field is big and there's, you know, all sorts of different opportunities, like foreign exchange students and people within your classes and things like that.
Yeah. So like Luke 10:2 is like, for the workers are few, but the harvest is plentiful. So we know there's not a lot of people that, like, there's so many people who don't know Jesus, but there's so few people to tell them. And so what I would encourage the most is find a community, because you're not going to be able to do it alone. Like, I know somebody who has eyes for mission work like this big, but the reality of it is you got to start like this. And so you're not going to be able to like change the world just by yourself. Like, I remember even talking about like influencing public education. It's like, I'm never going to be able to do that by myself, but with a lot of people behind me, like, we can make a difference. And so like looking at mission work, it's like, Peter never told us to go by ourselves. Like, he always had people with him on his mission work. And so it's like, when we're going into classes, find those people who are believers too. And if they're not, find like people that pray for you while you're in that class or things like that. And so what I've noticed a lot is, I can't do it by myself. Like, I'm in a friend group, and it's made of mostly non-believers. But then there's 3 of us that are. And it's like, I would never be able to influence that friend group that's of like 12 people by myself. But because there's 3 of us, there's more of a push. And there's more of a, oh, wait, like, what are you guys talking about? You know, like that kind of, like I said, like conversations. Or just simple like, hey, we're all going to church together. You want to come with us? And it's like, you're not going to be able to do it by yourself. So don't go in thinking you're going to change. I mean, you can like one-on-one make a difference in somebody's life. I think the most is like those one-on-one deep conversations. But you can't do it without the power of prayer. And yes, you praying is big, but having a whole group of people praying is so much bigger. And I know, like, when I first got to Purdue, like, I knew my parents were praying, and I knew, like, my grandparents were praying, or my siblings were praying. And it's like, I don't think I would have been able to, like, push to where I was without a team. And so it's like, we're never called to do our faith alone. We're called to do it in community. And so I find a local church. I think that's my biggest thing, is, like, start visiting them. There's a lot. There's, like, 3 on campus. Like, they're kind of hard to miss, too. But get up on a Sunday morning and go to church. And then don't just go and leave. Find somebody there. Be like, hey, how do I get connected? And if you don't like it, then find another one and get connected. And it's like, there's so many, like, I feel like any college campus you go to, there's going to be a church nearby, or somebody you're going to meet that goes to a church nearby or something. And it's like, get involved in a church, because, college ministry is really cool and great, but it's like, the work of God works through churches. And like, God tells us about churches and how to do churches and how to like live in community in church. And it's like, he never said, join a college ministry. Like, he said, join a church, a local church, because when you graduate, you're not going to have college ministry, but you'll have a church. And so I think, like, mission work works through churches and through the people of God working together for it. And so, don't try to do it alone. You're going to get burnt out. Like, it's going to be awful. You're going to like get mad at God. You're going to have so much spiritual warfare trying to do it by yourself. But if you're doing it with people, then like, when you do have those lower moments, it's like, then there's people that like can pick up and help you out, and like by like through God's Spirit, like push you forward and things like that. So
so really, like, the big question that I have, I mean, you hear like the statistics, when a person leaves home, goes to college, there's a high percentage that they fall out of faith in some sort, whether they come back or not, at least for a while, they fall out of faith. So what is it? how does a college student stay faithful when being on college campus?
So they hand you a packet and you get all the... No, I'm kidding. Yeah. How do they stay faithful? I think it's easier said than done. Because obviously, like, none of us are perfect and none of us can... Like, I think it's even hard to stay faithful working in a ministry. Or, like, it's always going to be hard because the devil's always going to be putting something in your mind that, oh, what you're doing isn't worth it, or this is so much better. And I think just, like, accountability is, like, the most broad topic ever. But just, like, having that, my dad called them their midnight person. Somebody you could call it midnight if you were having a problem and they'd answer the phone. Like, writing down, like, at least 2 or 3 people that you're like, okay, I know I could, like, tell them the truth and it would suck, but they're gonna, like, help me through it. And so for me, like, I found a girl actually in one of my classes. We had, like, our biology class together, and then, like, we would argue because she used to go to a different college ministry, and I was like, come to mine. She was like, come to mine. And I never went to hers, but she came to mine. And now we led a small group this past year together. But it was one of those things where I could, like, tell her anything. Like, I have told her a lot of hard things that, like, I never even wanted to admit to myself. But it wasn't her walking away, but it was her saying, okay, obviously that's not good. So she didn't validate my sin. She didn't tell me what I was doing was okay. But she didn't let me sit in it. And she walked me through it. And, like, I mean, like, because of, like, our friendship, I've been able to get through, like, some harder things that, like, oh, I fell into sin, or, like, this thinking pattern's clearly not godly. Like, I'm a big people pleaser, and I feel like a lot of teachers are. I feel like it's just, like, we wanted to be liked all the time by our teachers, and then, like, it just, like, spread into the rest of our lives. And so a lot of it is, like, academic validation and things like that. And so, like, those thinking patterns are so easy going to a Big Ten college campus where you're going to school with literal astronauts. Like, one of my best friends is in nuclear engineering. Like, come on, guys. Like, or, like, I have friends that are, like, in industrial engineering. They're like, or, yeah, I'm just like, what? And so it's really easy to, like, put that on a pedestal. And so it's really easy to worship your grades and worship school and things like that. But it's like, if you have somebody who's there who's saying, no, like, yes, it matters to do well and, like, to use the gifts God's given you to the best of your abilities. Like, God didn't give you those gifts to waste them. Like, use them or you lose them is what my mom used to tell me. But also, grades aren't life. People aren't life. Life is God. Life is spreading his gospel here on earth. And so it's like, I think, yeah, staying plugged in, not walking away when things are hard. Like, there's a lot of times when I'm like, I don't want to tell. Like, I call them accountability buddies. I feel like a lot of people probably use that term, but, like, she's my accountability buddy. And so I'm like, if there's something that I'm like, oh, I really don't want to tell her, that means I need to tell her. And so it's like finding someone you can be super honest with, even if it's a phone call. My freshman year at the beginning, it was my sister. I would, like, come to her house and I'd, like, show up and be like, hey, I messed up. And she'd be like, why? What? Or, like, I'd just call her and she would answer. And I'd be like, hey, so I'm thinking about this and I know I shouldn't be thinking this way. Can you help me talk out of it? Like, pray out of it. And a lot of times it's prayer. Just a lot of prayer. Because, yeah, like, we see a movement of God when there's prayer before it. And so it's like, you can't expect to stay faithful if you weren't praying that you would stay faithful when you got there. And so a lot of, like, leading up to going to Purdue was praying with my mentor in high school and then praying with my parents that, like, I would find the straight and narrow rather than everything easier. Yeah. And so, like, staying faithful comes as a result of a lot of prayer and then, like, a lot of accountability, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that concludes our episode.
Yeah.
You have any final thoughts just for your college peers?
Big Ten universities are awesome. I think a lot of people, especially in the Christian community, can be like, oh, I could never go to a school with that many people and that many non-believers. But I'm like, if anything, that means you need to. Like, it's such a big, like I said, it's a big mission field. And so it takes strong believers to change the hearts of non-believers. And so how do you expect the bad campus to get better if we aren't going to them as believers? And so I encourage you to go to them. Boiler up. I love Purdue. I'm really not a Purdue fan. Fun fact. In-state tuition's cheaper. And so I go there, but I'll cheer for them if they're helping me pay for school. So yeah, but no, come to Purdue. It's awesome. But yeah, just get involved in a local church. Anywhere, even if you're not a student. So yeah.
So again, that concludes our episode. Thanks, Janae, for sharing what you've been doing here at New Life Ministries and also your college life and your college experience. And I pray that the Lord uses you in awesome and mighty ways there at Purdue and then further on in your life as well. So if you like this episode, go ahead and share. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed so you can keep up to date on all the episodes that we post. And as always, thank you for watching the New Life Podcast.